Good evening, class. Swan and Anthony here. We are presenting the Ecuador project, and our title is A Glance into Ecuador.
Okay, so in this project, we're going to evaluate and tell all the information about Ecuador in each aspect. We're going to talk about history, culture, architecture, 5 dimensions of culture, and doing business in Ecuador. Here is the table of contents. Okay. You can go.
So here's our introduction. So we're, like we said, we're doing Ecuador, and Ecuador dates back to 3500 BC. And as we all know, it was conquered by Francisco Pizarro in 1533 due to the Incan War and disease devastating the land. So when Francisco came in, he was able to conquer it at a great speed after receiving reinforcements. And now that he did that, they named the capital city Puerto.
Okay. People in Ecuador in the pre-Hispanic era, there were nomadic hunters from the north. These people lived in tribes, mostly from Manabitus and Talena. The Incas from Peru started they conquered in Ecuador in 1463. The tribes resisted and fought, but the conquest ended happening at the end of the century. So the Spaniards, led by Francisco Pizarro, as Anthony said, coming from Panama, colonized and beat the Incan Imperium, including the territory of Ecuador in 1531. You can go.
Just do the introduction, right?
Yes.
Here's the one a little slow.
You can go.
Give me a second. Right, so Ecuador is located in the northwestern region of South America. It has 24 provinces and it is 256,370 kilometers, and the population is over 16 million. It is the most densely populated country in South America, and it's located on the equator.
Equator line.
Yes, on the equator line.
Okay, so wait, the last slide. The country borders Peru, Colombia, and the Pacific Ocean. The Andes Mountain divides the country into south and north. Moreover, Ecuador is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. The official language is Spanish, and the official religion is Catholic. Last slide, can you put last slide? Yeah, so the big influence from Spaniards into South America, and mainly like all the countries in South America have like a similar culture due that they were conquered by Spaniards. So the Spanish speaking and the Catholicism that was brought from the Spaniards. However, there are tribes that still speak their native language and still practice their own religion.
And one of the practices they do is called Pachamama, which means Mother Earth. And like you said, they speak over 13 native languages, and some speak still their native tongues. So they still practice their motherland traditions, but it just depends on what region or if they're closer to the borders as far as like inland or the coastal borders. And so different native peoples practice different religions.
Okay. Okay, so the culture. Can I start? Okay, so like much South American countries, Ecuador's culture is highly impacted by Spanish colonialism and the traditions of pre-Columbian people. So Ecuador has a mixed race background. Ecuador is also a major art center having many museums. Well-known artists and writers are born there. UNESCO named the Quito's Historic Center as the world's first heritage site. As their geographical location, they are in the equator line and have a monument in the exact center of the earth, which is a cultural place. Food is very impacted by pre-Hispanic era as their typical food called bolon verde is from the Incas Empire. You can add to that.
And that is one of the many foods that actually Ecuador has. I'm not able to say the word, but it's called le. How you say it? I think you know how to. I think you might know how to say it. It's called le chicharrones.
Lechon,
Le lechones
el
is something.
chicharrón.
Right, it's that one, and then it's one more. It's like a pork dish, and it's kind of like
Oh yeah, lechona, lechon.
that right there. Okay, I can't say it that good, so that is that one. And with that, it's like more food. As far as the art museums, they're known for like their different and unique design carpets and rugs that they sell like around the world. But that's one of their main things that they practice in Ecuador is those eccentric colored rugs.
Okay, they are a very happy country and they have around 30 important festival celebrations each year. Their biggest festivity and known worldwide is the New Year Good Celebration, where they build plastic humans and burn them to symbolize the old year that is gone.
Another celebration that they practice is Quinseca. Quinseca? How you say that word right there? It's
Which
the
one?
Christmas celebration that is held on the 24th of December in Paso del Niño.
Ah, El Paso del Niño. Uh-huh. Yeah, so like as I said, they have many typical celebrations from the region, and many of them come from the pre-Hispanic era. Also, like the country has their own celebrations, but also native people also has like their own particular celebrations. Like they are not the same as the normal country because they practice different activities and traditions.
All right, so now we're going to move on to the hostage dimensions. Ecuador is known for being a highly power distance country. It is ranked 78th in the country ratings, and that's due to people with their beliefs as inequalities amongst the people are just it's just natural to life, and how they base it off of is blood based. Like they believe that you're more superior if you're of European descent, and if you're of native descent, you're kind of lesser on the totem pole, as people like to say. And as far as the uncertainty avoidance, they're ranked 67th, and they just want to they avoid ambiguity and anxiety, which comes from like the different mix of cultures. So they are highly avoidance to just the natural way of things.
Yes, so that the power distance is accepted by all layers in society. They feel like inequality is just a light fact that is normal to have poor people and rich people. So they respect that difference, and that's why also they are a democratic country. The uncertainty avoidance this is mainly because they don't plan ahead, so they want to control everything. They want to control all aspects and they live in a daily basis. And this economy has impacted this way of living there because it's not the best. Masculinity is 60, how
Third,
do you say that?
63rd.
63rd
Yes.
rank many values. So this is mainly that they feel like men are superior to women. They feel like men have the responsibility of the family and they give like that job and that pressure to a man, where for example men have more credibility when doing business, when representing a family. So men like different from the United States, they they have more responsibility within the society and they have more credibility. And the individualism is not the case because Ecuador is one of the most collectivistic countries in the world. Just second in the world. The first one is Guatemala. So, I mean, they rely more on the community than the task at hand. So they rely more, the interpersonal relationships are more important than the job, than the money. They enjoy interacting with people, and they have this as a value. Like they rely more on other people and trust, and they also avoid conflict.
Right. So in the collective society, they base off their personal relationships instead. As far as like working in groups, like me and one would be more of a collective effort instead of just I doing things. So they believe in and they believe in a we society, not an I society. So if most people are saying we, then they feel like they are better equipped to tackle just the life in itself. As far as an individual, like the U.S. is a very individualistic country.
Yes. Like I can tell that for fact. Like I've been living in the States for 2 years. Unlike Colombia's culture to Ecuador is very similar, so I can tell that there is a bigger difference. In United States, everyone lives their own life.
Right.
They don't worry a lot for other people, and here in South America, the interpersonal relationships are very, very important. Like we enjoy with other families and interact.
They're more face to face. They feel as if I can speak to you face to face instead of using my cell phone or to communicate
It's
over
better.
this type of over like a business. It's more interpersonal, and you feel it better than communicating over a device or saying I, which the U.S. is basically known for. So we're going to
Okay.
move on to the infrastructure of Ecuador. So right now, Ecuador is rated as the number one in South America as far as education, health systems, and roads. They have a very, very distinctive way of travel using their bus system. It actually goes all over the region, and they have two main airports that goes into Ecuador, and they actually partner with United Airways. They partner with Delta, as well as American Airlines, and they fly directly to Ecuador. And in Florida, they actually opened up a airport or airline that did its inaugural flight in 2014. And it's rightly based out of Fort Lauderdale, so you can actually take a plane from Fort Lauderdale right into the heart of Ecuador at one of these international airports.
Okay, the country has 43,197 kilometers of highways, of which 8,165 are paved. Three national airlines, which are Saeta, TEM, and Ecuatoriana, which provide flights inside of Ecuador and also international, as Anthony said. Ecuador has one, as Anthony said, has a very well-established healthcare system at low cost. They even were rated recently by Bloomberg as having the 20th most effective healthcare system within the advanced economies. However, rural areas need to improve as they are not priority for the government. Ecuador has a very strong education system, including more than 100 secondary schools, and since 2008, public education for undergraduates is free. Ecuador has a rate of literacy of 93.45, as is measured differently because here in South America, literacy means to read and write, different from other countries that is until you need to go to school to a certain age. Okay, can continue.
Right. Trade agreements, imports and exports. Um, Ecuador has a high concentration of crude oils and fuels and natural minerals just in the country itself. The U.S. is one of the largest trade partners of Ecuador, and second comes Peru, Colombia, and Vietnam. They're one of the largest receivers of exports from Ecuador. And Ecuador exports bananas, crustaceans, cut flowers, and petroleum at a high rate to all of these countries. And they even go as far as partnering with Russia, Japan, for all of these exports. And it's 69th largest exporter in the world. And it imports mainly vehicles, telecommunications equipment, electricity, and medicinal equipment to, help with the healing in the hospitals, since they do have a pretty much world-rated healthcare system.
Okay, so according to the U.S. government, the exports from the United States to Ecuador led 23,000 jobs. Ecuador is the 42nd largest good trading partners to USA, but to Ecuador from the United States is the biggest partnership. $6.7 billion in goods were imported to USA from Ecuador. $5 billion in goods were exported to Ecuador from USA. So they are exporting more than they import, which is great. Their top exports are mineral foods, machinery, and electrical machinery, and the top imports to USA are mineral foods, flowers, and seafood. And the exports from USA to Ecuador, as I said, are machinery and electrical machinery. Ecuadorian goods in the majority arrive to the United States in marine transport. Air transport is also used by some companies, but it's more expensive and it's exported to bigger quantities. Tariffs are very low from the United States to Ecuador. Commonly are from 10%, but it's normally to find from 1%. So they must. I'm looking. Okay, so what the people need to do is required to qualify the company as an importer. Present the documents when the merchandise arrives, commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin to see the tariff exemptions, and the bill of lading, be it maritime or air, and ready to pay tariffs and taxes, and the merchandise comes out. Okay, so like importing, they must feel like many requirements as all the products must be labeled from the country they arrived. They must fulfill some sanitary checks, health checks, and the food is subject to U.S. government evaluating their quality and their health check. So they must fill some agreements and license to import and export.
And that's due to it being one of the largest exporters of goods to the U.S. So they have to abide by some of the U.S. laws, which you were stating just previously. All right. So, and to
Yes.
conclude, right now Ecuador is still a developing country, and it's also just it's adding to the infrastructure to become maybe possibly developed country like the U.S. And but it is exporting more than it is importing. So that is a very heavy burden to bear. And Ecuador has
Positive.
a lot of many things to offer as far as travel, and they're becoming one of the newest, most gracious places to visit. And right now, one of the things that's going for them as far as tourism is the Galapagos Islands, and it's home to some of the most beautifulest creatures, and they're very unique to the island. And it's still located on the equator, which means it's mostly tropical weather, so rainy seasons, hot weather. So it's ideal for a traveler, and it's becoming a very expat retiree country. So they feel as if it's a unique place, and they want to settle there, retire, and just spill the rest of their days out in Ecuador. So it's pretty good. You can actually live in Ecuador for little to 1,000 to maybe $2,000. You can live off of, and because it's kind of cheap compared to the U.S.
Okay, so economically, it's a country that, due to the great relationship with the United States, has been growing and positioning itself in the market as a strong exporter. Ecuador has been gaining a strength as a tourist site, and day by day they work to return the country a power in this aspect. So they have a great relationship with the United States. That's why imports and exports work really good. They don't need a lot of licenses. They just need to be registered with FDA. And also, as I said, a very important thing is that they use US dollar as their currency. So this is a high impact because, as an example, from Colombia, that we have our own currency, going to the United States, we have been affected with the change of dollars, so it's very expensive. But Ecuador doesn't suffer that, so their economy, when going to the United States, and their currency is very powerful. So I think this is all the information from Ecuador. It's a little bit long. I think we missed some details, but the basic and the whole picture, I think we gave the most important information about the country, and we invite you to search about the country and support it. Then we invite people to visit the place.
I do plan on visiting Ecuador because it's a gracious place, like I've said before, and the
I,
Galapagos Islands is one of my favorite places. Doing research on and just seeing the wildlife, and as a photographer, it looks really cool to do. So we thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a great evening.
thank you. Don't forget about coming to Colombia.